because that's the main purpose from the day they had this device released to the market. It's a very complicated device. It's really a very intelligent. And I have some people working at Amazon, and they're telling me the details about the architects and the design of this one. It's, you know, billions of dollars spent on that device. But all what they want is just to get into your house, have it as the hub where you can tomorrow buy a microwave that connected to Alexa. You will see that an oven connected to dishwasher, dryer, washers, everything in the house will be part of Alexa. They have a small device now, which is like a robot that can go around in the house if you're not there and make sure everything is okay. And you can connect it to the Ring camera. That's another device. They see it. And this is the whole thing about the applications of Internet of Things and home automation. Cities. There are a lot of smart cities in everywhere in the world. I'll give you some examples here from the state from California. The smart cities is more focused on controlling the traffic. So it doesn't make any sense to have red lights if there's nobody crossing the road and it's late at night, and why you want to wait. So they want to make sure that this is go, you know, easily. And they have all those signals, traffic signals, where it's going to measure and connect and make decisions. Environment, the same thing. Energy, the same thing. There's a lot of smart meters that we have them installed here, where we don't see anybody coming to the houses and read those meters. It's actually all connected to the internet and send the information and the reading to, you know, to the electric company. Retail is another application for Internet of Things. Smart payment, smart vending machines. Logistics is one of the biggest one, with using the radio frequency identification, RFID, where you can track the shipments. Companies like Walmart, they do this all the time. They have one of the biggest supply chain industry or supply chain network, you know, in the state, where they can see exactly from the time the order made by the store until they receive the shipment. And then agriculture is another one, industry, with indoor air quality and the health and lifestyle. If you have I mean, if you have the iWatch, that's an example of it. It's connected to your phone, and also it's give you some kind of recommendations. If your heartbeat is racing and higher than a certain level, they're gonna ask you to. I mean, the watch will tell you slow down. The same thing with Fitbit, which is now part of Google. That's part of the health and lifestyle. What I'm trying to say that we're already in the middle of the Internet of Things. You know, at certain levels, at different involvement. Now, the statistic I have is by 2030, each person will have at least 15 devices that is connected to the internet under his or her name. And now you can count how many devices you have so far. Now, just looking inside the Internet of Things, this is what you're going to see. Whenever I say the Internet of Things, you should understand that it's actually not just one system, it's an ecosystem. It's a group of systems together. It's actually 4 parts. The first one is the sensors. Second one is the network that will take the signals from the sensors to the cloud. And in the cloud, you will have the processing, the insight. And then you talk about the applications, which is we just mentioned now. So if you talk about the sensor will be like motion, heat, temperature, pressure, biometrics, chemicals, facial recognition, anything that will grab the information from the physical world, and now it's part of the ecosystem with the Internet of Things. And then you talk about the network, whether it's Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, 5G, 4G, LTE, Bluetooth, Zigbee, you name it, anything that will take it from a sensor, from a camera, and this camera is at the door of somebody or it's in a factory, and send it to the cloud. So there will be a processing for this information to see what will be the next decision, whether it's you're going to make it or the system will make that decision. And this is why the cloud / AI is the third component, which is the insight, storage, analytics, processing, the dashboard, and the big data analytics. And then talking about the applications, we mentioned about exactly 10 applications or categories of applications: consumer health, smart homes, and so on. Now, this year, 2023, we're going to see that the development in the Internet thing will hit all the 4 components: the sensors, the network, the analytics, which is the cloud, the applications. And each one of them will be impacted in a different way. It depends on the involvement of that component of Internet of Things. So we're going to see some of those examples. And I summarize them in this diagram, and we're going to go over all these kind of important component as we go. Each one of those trends, from the growth in the data and the devices to AI as a big player in the Internet of Things. Again, the VUI, the voice user interface, the more investments, real expansion of the smart Internet of Things, and then the rise of the industrial Internet of Things and digital twin, movement to the edge computing and other technology. I will explain it. Then the social and the legal ethics, and the last one we'll talk about the standardization, which is still a problem, and why it is a problem until now, why we couldn't find a solution for it. So let's start with the first one. The first one is talking about the growth in data and devices with more human device interaction. So in 2019, by the end of 2019, we had 3.6 billion devices that's active. We have 50 billion devices that connected, 3.6 billion devices that are actively connected to the internet daily. And they're doing all these kind of, half of the people living in this planet is daily using these kind of activities. Now, with the introduction of the 5G, this is going to be bigger. And 5G as an option for communication solves so many problems, because it's almost 100 times faster than what we have now with our smartphone, with our mobiles. So you can imagine the bandwidth. If it's faster by 100 times, you can do so many things. You don't need Wi-Fi, you don't need Ethernet, you can just use the 5G. This is why this is going to make it much easier for you anywhere to have, as long as you have the coverage, to do the same thing you're doing, watching movies, looking at different activities. One of the application for that, I remember when I was talking about this, the IEEE in 2017, about the introduction of 5G, which was introduced in 2020. This guy was asking in that conference about why you want to go to 5G. 4G is doing the job. I mean, it's fantastic. Well, I told him, yeah, it's good. Yeah, but it's the same thing we talk about it when we used to have the modems there, 128K, 56K, and with the broadband came to the picture, everybody say, why I have to pay for that, realizing that that opened the door for multimedia to be used on the internet. Streaming, that's what we are talking about. So back to the 5G question, I told him, just imagine that you have an emergency vehicle that transporting an injured person from an incident, and that's going to take about 5 to 10 minutes to get to the hospital. During that time, if we have 5G and we have the equipment on that, emergency, that vehicle, the doctors can do so many things for that injured person until he or she arrive to the emergency room. So, and this could save lives at that. And there is so many examples out of that one too. At the top of that one is the edge computing. What is edge computing? It used to call fog computing. They call it edge computing. This is what happened with the story of the edge computing. Cloud computing is centralized, huge data centers scattered all over the world. The biggest company for cloud computing is Amazon Web Services, AWS, and this is actually what we are using in our conference here. So they have centers in an area which is cold, like the Scandinavian countries, Canada, states, northern state of the United States. They have small centers close to the actions in the Bay Area or in Seattle. That one is very concentrated. So for example, just to understand why this one is significant, if I have a smart light, I want to turn it off using my app. So I have it on and off or change the color. The signal will go through the internet and it's going to go to that center, could be in another country, and then come back to the light bulb or the light in my room and change it. So it's going to take it this kind of of trip to get to something which is few feet away. The edge computing solve a problem like this by having small centers close where the activities are anticipated. It is similar to the local government and the federal government here in the state. The local government is the state government. They can make decision at their level, and if there is something big, they're going to go to the federal government. Then we're going to ask the federal government is like cloud computing. The edge computing is just put it close and push it close to the action there, and that's what's very helpful with services like Netflix, with services with Facebook and LinkedIn and all those companies that have a high traffic, and of course the top of that one is Google. Everything is done there. It's basically having this kind of a small edge. That's what we call at the edge of the activities, so they can process them as soon as possible. The second trend is AI, a big player in Internet of Things again. AI, the artificial intelligence, went through cycles. I remember when I was doing my research PhD in Pennsylvania, that was the time when we have something called the AI winter, where the interest in the artificial intelligence was not that high. The investment is not there, the grant is not there, the government is not paying attention to it that much until we hit the 2000, and now we're talking about new tools like Python and R and all these, and the prices for the processors and computers start going down. So it was easy to have this kind of access, cloud computing, become a big driving force for artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is making a big splash. And locally here in Silicon Valley, there's a lot of product that now focus on the generative AI, which is a new term that's used for some of the one of the most amazing products. I have no idea how many of you heard about the chat, GPT, which is basically a website or an app that you can ask a question and they'll give you one of the best summary of the answers. It's a threat to Google. It's used AI heavily, and it used a very specific kind of AI, generative, which is something related to scanning the whole group of data and training the program so it can give a better answer. I use it all the time. It's really the answers are really amazing. And the other one is DALL-E, which is you can ask for a picture, and that picture, they can create a picture for you based on the description, so from text to picture. And this is when we talk about how the AI is changing so many industries now. This is the direction of the investment and technology in Silicon Valley. So making most of the data itself, and even understanding the basic levels, the infrastructure that functions, more computers, they need artificial intelligence. Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Microsoft is really big in AI. Google are increasingly looking for competing based on AI capabilities. Last week, Google, for the first time in their history, they sent something called a red note, and the red note is every time, and this was the first time in their history, they're saying, we are really now, our position as the search engine #1 in the world is threatened by the new challenge from ChatGPT. And because a lot of people try it and they love it. and they're really going there. If they have any questions, if you go to Google, they will give you results, pages and pages of results. Usually people go to the first page, second page, and they're done. This one give you one answer. That's it, the best answer that can be. And also it has the intelligence, and you can ask any questions. I have some of my students who will share their code, their programming lines on that chat box, and it's going to fix it for them, make it better, and tell them where the mistakes. And that's a challenge for us to make sure that the students are doing their work. So startups hope to increase the market. Algorithms are big in this field. Machine learning, deep learning, and deep learning is the one that's related to the chat GPT. I was talking to you about it. They can extract more value out of the growing volume of data. During the pandemic, many of the companies, they have their website and there is a chat box. So the answers will be available 24 hours. And this chat box is not just A and B, or it's a simple true and false. It's basically based on AI. So if they couldn't answer the questions, they will tell you that somebody will contact you. But they have most of the question, and they're learning at the top. It's like what you do with Siri in the iPhone. The iPhone, you're training Siri on your own lifestyle. When you buy the phone for the first time and you have Siri start fresh. They don't understand. The system does not understand anything about you except the basic function there, and then over time pick up what you like, what you don't like, your location, what's going on, the holidays, the events, the occasions, what you buy, what not to buy, all your questions, and that's how you develop Siri over time. The same thing with Alexa. So this is when we talk about it. AI will be a big player in the Internet of Things. And just to understand what is the interaction of artificial intelligence with the Internet of Things, IoT, there are 6 areas where AI will help IoT data analysis, which is the basic function for everything. And this one can be summarized in this diagram. Data preparation, data discovery, visualization of streaming data, time series accuracy of data, predictive and advanced analytics, and real-time geospatial and location. Very quickly, data preparation, 80% of the time of so-called data scientists. Data scientist is a high position where you have to have knowledge of math, engineering, and science, and some social science, where you can understand the data. It's not just numbers. There should be something associated with the numbers. And those people, they paid millions of dollars to work at the companies. And 80% of the time, 80% of their time spent on cleaning the data, which is basically data preparation. After they clean the data, the AI will go through the data discovery, trying to find if there is any relationships, any patterns between the different data, the relationship between this and this. If somebody do this one, what does that mean? And then they have the visualization of streaming data. We can have this one clear on some kind of a dashboard. And this is nice about having all the data available for you when you are looking at the app. You can follow the use of your electrical power. You can follow the use of your data by looking at the app. Why? Because it's part of the AI. Time series accuracy of data. If you took statistics, you understand that in order for you to describe data, you need certain parameters available for there, which is the center, for example, which is the average, the mode, the range, the mid-range, the standard deviation, the variance. All of these things will be checks. Just to understand this is taking out the outlier data. Just to put some, this one in perspective. The temperature in the area where I'm living here, it can go maximum centigrade maximum to something like 35 degrees. You're not going to find it going to anything higher than that number. If you collect the data and the temperature is saying that it's 55, that's an outlier. Or if you say that it is -10, that's an outlier. That is something which is not, doesn't make any sense. This is the time series accuracy to make sure we take those data out of the system because it doesn't make any sense. And also the predictive and advanced analytics, it's not just about analyzing the past, is looking at the past and analyze it, understanding the present and predicting the future. Amazon is working on some of their research, and they have a big research center here in the Valley. And that one is a certain algorithm that will not only predict of what you're gonna buy, it's actually telling you what to buy. And that is their goal, which is when you go to the website, you're gonna find the information like somebody telling you that you need this, you have to buy this. I mean, their old system is if you buy this one, other people bought this and this. This one is, this is what you're gonna see. Is like somebody living with you in the house and telling you that, okay, you need this. And because you need this one, you need that. And this is when we talk about the predictive and advanced analytics. The real-time analysis with the real-time geospatial allocation, I have no idea if we have this one in Egypt or in the Middle East, but many times I'll be going to one of the malls or going over the stores, and then I will have a notification saying there's a discount here because your GPS is telling the system that you are in that place, and based on this one you can claim that discount. And the VUI, the way we communicate with our devices is either by touching them. That's what we do all the time. That's what, or using the menu, which is use the mouse and then go and change everything. You have your laptop, you have desktop. You will see more of this, and we already saw that one in the two examples, which is Siri and Alexa. You talk to them, and that is the interface of the future. 80% of our daily communication is actually done through voice. The other 20% of everything we've been doing with technology, so that the technology companies ignore the 80% for years, and they focus on touch, mouse, all of these different things that we look at it, except the voice. Because of the AI, the AI was not up to the level where you understand what you're saying. And even in the movies, and I give an example here, when you talk about R2-D2, C3PO, and Star Wars, Jarvis in Iron Man, all of those comments, you will see that the actors or the superheroes, they're talking to them. They're talking to those devices. So the voice is the main part of the communication. How is this going to apply to the Internet of Things? I will buy a device like a thermostat or a camera. I have to download the app and fix everything through the app. Why not just talk to the device? And the device will talk back to me about what kind of the password you would like to have. I can give them that password. So because there's no menu, the screen's itself too small. And this is what, this is one of the obstacles for the advancement of the Internet of Things. So the use of voice in setting up the devices, saying the setups, giving commands, and receiving results will be the norm, not only in the smart house factory, but in cars, wearables, for example. So if I'm looking at my smartwatch, I can just talk to it and fix this without touching anything. And that's another advancement that we're going to see as an option for the Internet of Things. The fourth trend is talking about the more investments. Spending of Internet of Things will hit about $1.4 trillion by the end of 2023. It has a big impact, and the difference between the Internet of Things as a technology or an ecosystem and other technology, it is acceptable by the emerging and the traditional venture capitalists. And venture capitalists is the people who are investing in companies. We have we have tons of them here. We have many of the offices here in Silicon Valley. They have a lot of cash on the side. They look for companies to invest in them. And when the concept of Internet of Things is easy to convince them to invest and put money in those devices or in those companies. The spread of smart devices and the increased dependency of the customers and their daily tasks using them will add an excitement to the investment. Everything you're going to see now, I mean, the life of so many people, especially the young generation, the Gen Zs and Millennium, they depend on the phones. Their smartphones is their gateway, their portal to their life. Everything is there. They do everything by the phones. So if you want to make this one better by having new apps or by having a smarter, that's what we're looking. That's what's going to bring money because you already have the customer base. Customers will be waiting for the next big innovation. Here's some examples. Smart mirrors. And those smart mirrors is they're going to, you wake up in the morning, it's going to analyze your face and will tell you you're sick. And then once they found out that you're not okay, they book appointment for you with the doctor. They're going to set up that appointment, and then Uber or Lyft, whatever is the driving, who will drive you to that to the hospital or the clinic, is ready, waiting for you. And at the same time, the mirror will move your appointment or send email to people who you have, some kind of a meeting with them, telling that you're not feeling well today. We're going to move it to next week. So that's part of the smart mirrors, and we have them. I've seen them in the electronics show in Las Vegas this year, 2022. Smart ATMs. When you go to the ATM and you try to get the money, it's usually a camera just to see you if something happened and to see who was there. This is going to change because the camera will be a smart camera to analyze your facial reactions to see if you are under stress. Maybe somebody behind you with a gun. Maybe the crime committed there. Immediately, it's going to contact the police. You don't have to do anything. You're going to go and take care of it. And smart forks. The forks, you have them, and the spoons, they're going to be smart. Where if you are using the fork or using the knife or using the spoon, it's going to analyze the food and it's connected to your medical records and say this is not good for you. Don't eat it, or this is not the way to eat it. You have to eat it in a different way. So it's going to fix, the way you are dealing with what you're eating. Smart beds. When everybody is, in their beds, it's going to turn off the lights completely. So nobody is going and check if somebody left a light somewhere. And then the fifth one is talking about the real expansion of smart Internet of Things. The Internet of Things is all about connectivity, processing. A better example of that one is smart cities. And smart cities is all about making sure that the resources of the cities are really preserved and used in the right way. We had a big incident in 2021, 2020 or 22, I think this year, 2022. A building in Florida just collapsed because the foundation of the building's old and it was not designed well, and they have multiple new floors at the top of it, so the weight was really more than it can take. And also Florida is close to the ocean, so the soil itself is not stable. If we are talking about smart cities, inside each one of those foundations, the columns that holding the building, there will be sensors, and those sensors will send information to the city halls and information to the owners of the building, telling them that, okay, this is the health of this building. So that's when we talk about, this is just an example of that. The water systems, the sewage systems, the traffics, all of this is part of how to deal with smart cities. Sensor in the neighborhood, recording everything, walking routes, sharing, car use, building occupancy, sewage, temperature, 24/7. Make sure that it's the resources are used in a proper way and safe and convenient, and everybody's feeling comfortable and it's clean. Another example of this one would be the model for a smart neighborhood is smart cities. The potential for the cities with all sides exploring this one. There are smart cities is all over the world, whether it's here in the state or in Europe or in the Middle East or in Africa or in Asia. All of them, they have this experimentation with smart cities. Another example that's gonna benefit from this is the auto industry. The self-driving car, and Tesla factory is about 20 minutes from where I'm talking to you guys here. And I mean, California is the biggest market for Tesla. About 400,000 Tesla cars running in the roads of California. So it started here, and this thing about self-driving cars become normal. I see them all the time. It's driving me crazy. The driver will be sleeping, and the car will be just driving that person to work or back home. Tons of vehicles have connected apps showing their data diagnostics. All of this technology will be connected to the cars, because today's cars, they are actually computers on wheels. They have so much electronic and so much connectivity that the tons of information that they transmit this and send it back to the factory, send it back to the companies, is just troves of treasures and information. You can go through this, and you can improve the performance of the car. You can improve the performance of the products. The sixth one is the rise of industrial and Internet of Things and digital twin technology. Now, there are three kinds of IoT, Internet of Things. The first one is the commercial, which is basically the something has to do with the applications in agriculture and health, which home automations. And there is consumer, which is what you have in your smartphone, watches, and there's industrial. Industrial has to do with the factories, and it is big, in outside the United States. There's a lot of investment in the factories and the smart factories. In countries where the manufacturing is the key thing for them. It's just making sure that there are sensors everywhere to make sure the flow of the process and production is smooth. So this is what they're talking about here. It's going to play or plays a big part in making manufacturing more efficient, less risky, and more profitable. And the industrial IoT is actually bringing the efficiency and productivity through the data integration, analysis, and this is all part of connecting the devices. Now, this is the concept I want to talk about, which is digital twin. Digital twin is a concept where you have your factory, and your factory in physical real world, with the structure, with assembly line, with machines. There is a copy of that one in the virtual world, exact copy. And that copy, you can try to experiment on how to make the manufacturing process faster and better. You don't have to experiment on the real factory, and you disrupt the production, you disrupt the assembly, the shipping. You can do it in the virtual world, and because it's connected, whatever process you have that you say, okay, now this configuration is better, it's going to upload this one right away to the real live factory. It's not simulation. Simulation is you do it and you're done with it, and then you apply it by yourself. This is connected. Now, Gartner, which is one of the biggest IT research companies in the world, they say that 48% of smart manufacturing adopters have made plan to use the digital twin. And that's another term that you can hear about a lot about it. And now going to the edge. Now, I explained to you what does that mean when we talk about the edge computing. So it is a technology that distributes the load of processing and move it closer to the edge of the network. Now, I gave you an example of Tesla as an example of the self-driving cars, the autonomous cars. Tesla, I love that. Why? Because you're going to have sensors scattered all over the area instead of having one center outside the state, and there is a delay in sending receiving the information. Now, this minimizes the latency, which is the time taken for the signal to go from you to the data center and come back. The bandwidth will be conserved because you can do it on the small data center that is available for you in different locations. Reliable and quick decision, collects and secure data, and moving the data to a place where they can process it quickly and analyze it quickly and give you the answer quickly is very critical, because the example of autonomous cars, you don't have a minute to make a decision, should I stop or move? This has to be a split of second decision. This is why it's important to make sure that this is clear to everybody, that this makes sense. It's rising, the edge computing. I know about Intel working in that. Dell is working in the edge computing. Google, Microsoft. This term edge computing for them is a whole new source of revenue and technology and research. But the growing scope will make move even more pronounced. And two factors. The reason for this, why it is really more significant, is the edge devices are very powerful. So manufacturing companies understood now that I don't have to build the servers and the structure for the data center. I can build them for small data centers under the name of edge computing. And the centralized infrastructure becoming more stressed. The edge computing also make on-device AI, which make it basically faster, because now we're talking about the AI used at those centers, so make decision right away instead of just sending everything to one place. You have certain places where they can make decision right away without delay. Hardware manufacturers are building specific infrastructure for the edge design, and they have it more physically rigid and secure. And you're going to have a cabinet which is called edge computing server or center, and that one the size of a closet, and then you can just place it in different locations. And that is this is why the hardware manufacturer company, they love it, because this is another source of income for them. Number 8 is more social, legal, and ethical issues. GDPR, and GDPR is the Data Protection Regulation, General Data Protection Regulation, which is the law that was established in Europe in 2018, talking about privacy. If you're doing business with any citizen of the EU, and whether this person is living in Europe or outside, privacy is number one. If that person is not giving you his or her permission to use the data, if you're not telling them how you're going to use their data, the fines will be in billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. Just lately, Facebook, Google, they're fighting about for Facebook is about $4 billion fine, and for Google is something close to $7 billion fine for them, because they use the data without the permission of the users in Europe. And that's a big thing for them. So this thing about the legal is a huge thing. That's why the compliance departments are important. This is the same thing goes with Twitter, under the management of Elon Musk, which is the Europe is telling him, yes, you freed the bird, but you have to follow our rules. If there is any kind of issues, then they're going to hit them with billions of dollars of fines. So that's just an example of the regulations here. The last one is standardization, and standardization being an issue and a big problem for years, and still. Now, let me explain to you why this one is a big problem and why standardization still is an issue. When you talk about standardization, you are telling companies to share their revenue with other companies, because Amazon said we are first. Why don't you guys follow our standards? Microsoft, they say no. Yeah, we're not going to follow your standard. We have to follow our standard because we have our operating system everywhere. Google say there's no way for us to follow this, and why? We have to follow Amazon or Microsoft or the others. So the standardization is one way of saying everybody has to work together, and we will have rules that gonna slice the shares and give everybody a chance. And this is why I have to mention Apple too, because that's another thing about the standardizations. It's a big challenge, you know. It is still going on. They have small standardization for different devices, but there is no one standard. Just to give you an idea about what does it mean when you talk about the standard, just look at the USB, the thumb drive. You can take that thumb drive, which is the USB drive, and you can just plug it in any device. No problem. No problem. That's standardization. You can have it connected to the, to any device, a connection with the USB, and it will be fine. A C type, whatever you took, that's standardization. You don't have to have one specifically for each one. You have a connection, or you have a type by itself, and that's part of the standardization that they're trying to do with the Internet of Things devices. In a perfect world, I should buy any IoT device, a thermostat, a camera, device like Alexa, and just plug it right away. And if I buy another device, then it's going to start communicating with Alexa. You don't have to have only Amazon devices communicating with Alexa, or only Apple devices communicating with Siri, or Google Home. You don't have to do that. And that is part of the standard. And this tells you that this is going to be the case. Now, one of the solutions that we might see in the future, that we will have something like 3 standards, like what we have now with the Windows, the Mac, the Linux, and people can pick and choose. You buy a new car, they ask you would like to go with Android, they go with iOS. That could be a way for solving the problem now. Now, the basis for the standardization are 3: the platform, the connectivity, and the applications. In the case of the platform, we are dealing with UX, means user experience, UI means user interface. And this is, we have to have a standardization for the how the customers are dealing with the different devices. If you look at a calendar app on your phone, they look the same. If you look at a calculator app, it's the same. Maybe different color, different design, but all the same. The interface is the same. You know where to go, how to add this, how to use this one. This is part of the UX and the UI. That's one thing about the standardization. And the connectivity is the customer contact points with the devices. I'm not. You don't have to force me to use a certain communication technology. Any communication technology can go. You have your phone. You can use your own data plan. You can use the Wi-Fi. It's open for both of them. Going to make sure that the device is working. The last one is the application. There is a term, in technology called the killer applications. A killer application is a must application in any device. When you buy a new phone, that phone comes with an app for the calendar, for the email, for the calculator. There are every phone. It doesn't matter what brand, what operating system, what manufacturer. Those called killer apps, which must be on that phone. We are looking for something like this for the Internet of Things, where you have this app and you can just access everything. So there's no way to solve the problems of the fragmentation without a strong push from organization like IEEE. IEEE is the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineering. It's a big organization in the United States that's do the standards. I mean, the standard you have on the Wi-Fi is the 802.11 is coming from the IEEE. Okay, I think I am done with my presentation. This is my connection on, this is the link to my LinkedIn, and this is my email. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions here. You guys can take a screenshot of this.
If you have any questions, please write them down.
If there's no connections, we're done. It's midnight. محمد
ايوه.
ما فيش حد، ما حدش بيسأل اي سؤال.
خلاص
اروح
في سيرفي ان شاء الله هيتبعت، اوتوميتد سيرفي هيتبعت بعد الويبينار. في سؤال اتسال يا دكتور.
ماشي.
تشوفه.
مش شايفه انا.
ايوه.
انا مش شايف الاسئله على فكره.
ايوه.
اوكي، مش شايف اي اسئله، فاذا ما فيش خلاص يعني همشي.
We have okay. The first question, what about blockchain?
Yeah, blockchain is another blockchain
in the field of in the field of IoT. Okay.
Yeah, there is actually a use for them, because if you heard about there is a replacement for Twitter, and that one is decentralized network. I mean, the blockchain is a very good way of securing the data itself, because number one is the encryption is high. Number two is there are multiple copies of the information, just in case somebody hack into the system, they can, they can just go back and get that information from the rest. So the blockchain can be used for security.
Okay. We have another question from Mr. Omar Osama. Sorry, Osman. Do you see any trend on IoT security?
Because it's an ecosystem, this is a good question. An ecosystem, keep in mind, when you talk about the Internet of Things, you have to understand that you're talking about 4 components. So when we talk about security, we're talking about what kind of security we're going to have for the sensors, what kind of security we're going to have for the communication, which is the networks, what kind of security we're going to have for the cloud, what kind of security we have with the application. So each one of them will have its own industry, sensors, what kind of attack and how can you protect them. Basically, you want to have, encrypt everything, make sure that it's very hard for people to access them and hack them. Communication has the same, the encryptions will be high, using the blockchain as an example for that, and the cloud, the same thing. So each one of the 4 areas is an industry, and there's a lot of startups working on securing each one of the 4 components.
Okay, we have another question. How we can combine IoT with deep learning? Can you give us hot research topic on this field?
I just mentioned a few things about this, which is, for example, the deep learning can hit the smart mirrors, the smart forks, the smart ATMs. So this information, which is, when you talk about deep learning, remember, this is going to hit the 3rd component of IoT, which is the cloud/AI. Now, this information you receive from everywhere. You need to train your model so it can have better decision. Simple example about this guy who woke up in the morning, look at the mirror said, "You're sick, I cancel your meetings. Uber is waiting for you downstairs. The doctor will see you." And then after you see the doctor, come back, the doctor will contact the pharmacy, and the pharmacy will send you your medication with a drone, and the drone will have a container, which is the famous containers here in the state, which is the orange container. Those are smart containers. So when you open it and take one pill, the container will send a signal to the doctor, he or she took one. When you swallow that pill, that dissolve inside you is another signal sent you took only one. And we have companies working on that. Actually, there is a company here in the Bay Area work on smart pills that people are not going to have an overdose when taking it. So this cannot be done without deep learning. You have to have deep learning in this kind of applications.
Okay, we have another question from Mr. Hassan Abdul Hamid. Are there any new news about medical devices?
It's a big thing about the medical devices with the Internet of Things is huge. There are 3 or 4 companies, I know about them here. HP is one of the biggest companies for medical devices, but there are some small companies that working on the case of medical, for example, for people who have diabetes, right? Sukkar, right? They have if they have it type 2, then what you do, they have patches. Those patches will be connected to their body and will send a signal to the doctor. You have an app, and every time you take a medication, it's going to send this information to the doctor, and the doctor will receive it as real time as you are taking your medications. Connected devices also used for temperature of the equipment. So in the hospital, and in the operation room, in the ER, when the devices are connected, because I see the doctor here using tablets and using all excuse me, all kind of devices, that's going to tell them that the temperature is down for this equipment. It's no longer healthy for they're going to just isolate that one and just cancel it. So back to the concept of Internet of Things, think about medical devices that will benefit from sensors, from communications, from analysis in the cloud, from applications, and this is where you're going to apply it in them.
Okay, we have another question from Mr. Haitham Saeed. What about IoT for manufacturing, future of ERB IoT? ERB IoT.
It's the industrial IoT. That's what we talk about it too, because when you talk about smart devices, smart factories, and I give you the example of the twin, the digital twin. That's an answer for the question. If you look at it, you can optimize the process, the enterprise resources planning. You can optimize it in a way, in the virtual world, and then move it to the real world in the factories, because you're going to have sensors everywhere. And sensors means cameras, sensors, temperature, movement, and everything. And you're going to have the connectivity, and you can have this data, and you say, okay, this processing takes 3 minutes. Can we make it 1 minute? And this is where you're going to have this one all on a dashboard. So this is the digital twin is one of the answers for improving the enterprise resources planning.
Okay. Does anybody have any question? Do you have any questions؟ لو في حد عنده أي سؤال؟ طيب احنا باي ذا اند في اوتوميتد سيرفي هيتبعت على الايميل ليكم، هنخلصه وانس ان احنا نفاينلايز السيشن. في سؤال تاني another question. Yes. From Mr. Gaber, how we can get the BBT? Yes, this is for you, Dr. Ahmed. You can send the presentation to us and we send to attendees.
أنا هبعتها لك أنا على الإيميل، أنا عندي الإيميل تبعك،
تمام.
ممكن تديها للأخوان هنا، ما فيش مشكلة.
ما فيش مشكلة، هتوصل لكم إن شاء الله باي إيميل إن شاء الله. حد عنده سؤال تاني؟ Do you have any questions؟ طيب زي ما اتكلمنا احنا إن شاء الله وانس هنقفل هيجي لكم automated survey على الإيميل. Just okay Mr. جابر. Thank you. إن شاء الله هيتبعت لكم automated survey على الإيميل باي إيميل. هنفاينلايز الاوتوماتيد سيرفي على طول وانس يوصل لنا ان شاء الله في الوقت المناسب. I think we are done كده ولا ايه؟
ماشي.
في noted. اوكي مستر جابر. اوكي ثانك يو فور everybody. شكرا يا دكتور.
اهلا وسهلا
فيك ونفع
في امان الله.
ربنا يبارك لك يا رب ويجعله في ميزان
الجميع ان
حسناتك.
شاء الله، ان شاء الله. تحياتي للجميع ان شاء الله. في
شكرا
امان
يا
الله،
دكتور.
مع السلامه.
تمام تمام. هنقفل بقى دلوقتي يا شباب، استودعكم الله، السلام عليكم ورحمه الله وبركاته.